Okay, so welcome back to this channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about the male and the female reproductive system. If you have not already, do well to subscribe to this channel because we are going to be focusing on just the areas in this video that you need for your UTME exam, the areas that you need for your UTME. So make sure that you do like the video and subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, do well to see the question and answer session of this video, all right, of this topic. So stick with me to the end as we unveil the nitty-gritty about the male and female reproductive system. All right. Now, the reproductive system ensures the continuation of species. So that's the major reason why there is a reproductive system. So essentially, every other system, there are about 8 systems of the body, and all of those 8 are very, very much concerned with the organism itself. But you see, this particular one, the reproductive system, does not really care about the organism. All it does is all it cares about is the future of the organism, that is the continuity of life. So we talk about what? We mentioned the continuation of species. Continuation of species. Now, now, gonads are primary. Gonads are the primary reproductive organs. So our reproductive organs are called gonads, and they produce what is called gametes. They produce gametes. So gametes in the male are called the sperm. The sperm, while in the female they are called the ovum. Is that okay? So male gamete is sperm, the female gamete is ovum or egg. Plural of ovum is ova. All right. Now it's essentially called that because of the shape of the egg. All right. Then a pair of testes produces sperm in males, as we said, and a pair of ovaries produce ovum. So the gonads that produce the part of the gonads that produce the male gamete is called the testes, and that of female is called the ovaries. All right. So and they both produce sperm and eggs respectively. All right. Now let's begin with the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system is divided into two: the primary organs, the primary sex organ, and the accessory sex organs. Now the primary sex organs are basically the testes. Is that okay? They are the testes, and there are two in the male. And in fact, most species have two testes. Is that okay? Two testes. Then the accessory organs are the next type of reproductive organs. We have the seminal vesicles, the prostate glands, the urethra, and the penis. So they are the accessory organs. Accessory means just attached organs or organs that do perform other functions. But the primary function, the primary one that does the main function, which is the production of sperm, that gamete that is needed for fertilization of the egg, is the testis. That's why we call it the primary sex organ. Then we have the second, which is the accessory sex organ, which are all of these guys. Think of them as SPOP. Is that okay? This one means seminal. I said SPOP rather. Seminal vesicles, prostate gland, and the urethra and the penis. Now, not prostrate gland. Now, prostrate is to lie down flat. Is that okay? So that's prostrate. This is prostate. Prostate. So this is one very important part of the female reproductive system. The male rather reproductive system. I'm sorry, the male reproductive system, and it is very, very it is very, very important in the production of the constituents that make up semen. Is that okay? The constituents that make up semen, and it continues to grow throughout the life of the man, and it squeezes into the urethra. Is that okay? It squeezes urethra. That's why in an old person it is difficult to urinate because of the largeness of the prostate gland. All right. So we have, okay, so this is the diagram, the anatomical diagram of the prostate, of the male reproductive system. Okay, so my first focus is that prostate. So I'm going to see the prostate here. I'm going to say that it squeezes, as it grows bigger and bigger, it squeezes this urethra. Is that okay? What continues as the urethra? It squeezes it, and then it makes urination quite difficult. All right, so we have the testicles. We call them balls. All right, and they are housed in this scrotum. Now, um, um, one of the reasons why this is very important, the posterior position of this guy, of this our scrotum, is essentially because of the temperature underneath here. The temperature around here is just um, appropriate for the production of sperm. So there's a condition, there's a particular temperature at which sperm formation is possible, and beyond which sperm formation is no longer possible. So this temperature here, the temperature of this region outside the body of the organism, is just okay for the formation of sperm. So, and that's why the scrotal sac is made of skin type that can contract and expand. Is that okay? So during the cold weather, because it might need to increase its temperature, what will happen is that you are going to see it squeezed together up. Is that okay? And during when there is heat, it's going to expand, or it's going to become loose, kind of. Is that okay? So more like constriction and dilation. All right. So then we have the vas difference. Now you're going to see after this testis comes this epididymis. Now the epididymis is basically a continuation of the epididymis is a continuation of the seminal seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubule continue into the vas efferens, and the vas efferens continue into make up the posterior to the testis. They make up the epididymis, and the epididymis posterior or continue as the vas deferens, or call it ductus deferens, or sperm difference. We also call it spermatic dot. The spermatic dot. Is that okay? The vas difference. It has three names. So we say vas difference means what? Ductus deferens, or the spermatic duct. Now their function basically are, for example, we said the first one, the testis, we said they produce sperm and male hormones. In the epididymis, store sperm for maturation, and the sperm also travels through it. So they store sperm for about 2 weeks, after which they will be recycled into the body. Then vas difference is the pathway for sperm. So that's where sperm is going to take into the urethra and make its way out of the penis. Then we have the prostate gland. Now it makes fluid for semen. All right, it add both of them. This seminal vesicle here, this guy here, adds adds semen to the sperm, so that it's what is part of what carries the sperm. One of what it adds is fructose, which provides energy, the energy in which the mitochondria of the sperm cell is going to metabolize into energy. The fructose is sugar with which it will make energy. That's the mitochondria of the sperm cell. So that is what the one of the constituents of the semen that the seminal vesicle and the prostate gland add to the sperm. Then we have the bladder here. The bladder doesn't really do anything have any role to play in the reproductive system, but because some of these other organs surround it, that's why it is appearing here. But of course it holds the urine. And one thing you should note is that it is the urine and the sperm has the same passageway. The urine and the sperm has the same passageway. So So the urethra is the passage for urine and semen. So the urethra is the passage for what? Urethra is passage for urine and semen. All right. Then let's go to the functional anatomy of the testes. Now the testes are the primary sex organ, like we rightly said, in males. They are the primary sex organs of the males. Now there are two testes in most species, as we said, and it is ovoid in shape, and it is covered by a sac-like structure called the scrotum, or we call it the scrotal sac. So, all right. Now, the testis is made up of about 900 coiled tubules, 900 coiled tubules that we call seminiferous tubules. So we have the seminiferous tubules. We said those ones will produce sperm. So seminiferous tubule produce sperm. With the help of two cells inside the testis, we have them as the Sertoli cells, and the Leydig cells. The Sertoli cells and the Leydig cells. All right. So these two cells help in the production of sperm in the seminiferous tubules. So production of sperm happen where? In the seminiferous tubule. And then this seminiferous tubule now continue as the vas deferens, the vas efferens. So there's a portion of the testis that is called the rete testis. So this is the last portion that after which we encounter the outside of the testis. So from the seminiferous tubule, the sperm will make its way into the rete testis. It's a rete testis. All right. Now, from the rete testis, then we'll now have the sperm make its way to the vas efferens. Now, the vas efferens is the duct that makes, that leads outside. That's not the efferents. Efferents refer to outside. Is that okay? So now we have, then that now continues or forms the epididymis, which stores sperm temporarily. The epididymis does what? Stores sperm temporarily. Or the sperm also passes through it. Is that okay? Because of course it is on the outside portion. So if this was your ovoid testis, you are going to have a shape that looks like this. And basically inside the testis too, the seminiferous tubules are coiled like just as it is here in the epididymis. The epididymis now continues outward to the vas deferens. Is that okay? The vas deferens. It continues as the vas deferens. Okay. Now, the vas deferens is also called the ductus deferens or spermatic duct, and then the vas deferens extends to on one side upwards into abdominal cavity via inguinal canal. So, and the terminal portion of the vas deferens is called the ampulla, and the ampulla of the vas deferens joins the duct of the seminal vesicle. Now, let me show you what that is. Now, at this point, if you look carefully at this point here, if you look carefully at this point here, you're going to see that this vas deferens goes like this and joins this point here, the vas deferens of both of the guys. This one passes through the back and joins this portion here. It joins the duct of this seminal vesicle. This duct of this seminal vesicle is coming from here and joins here. So this is the junction here, which is where through the prostate gland. Do you understand? All right. Then they both come together to form the ejaculatory duct. So this is the ejaculatory duct or the urethra. So it's also called what? Ejaculatory duct. Now, the next is the structure of the testis. Okay, let's quickly consider the structure of the testis. So you're going to see these lobules, right? Lobules. Now, these are lobules, and these lobules comprise of the seminiferous tubules. So if you look at it very well, carefully, you're going to see these wire-like structures. So they are the seminiferous tubules. Is that okay? So now, the space between each lobule is called the septum testis. The space between each lobule is called what? The septum testis, or the space that divide each lobe is called the septum testis. And you see, so at this portion here, you see that at this somewhere around this portion is where we have the rete testis. And okay, yeah, so mediastinum with rete testis is around here. All right, do you see that? So then the rete testis now continue as the what? The vas efferens that goes out of this, that is the dog that goes out of the testis. This is the testis, so it goes out, so it's called vas efferens. And then this portion here is going to be the what? The epididymis. Is that okay? So you see here it says the head of epididymis. This is the head of epididymis here. Do you understand? This portion here is the head of epididymis, and this whole thing here is called the epididymis. And the epididymis now continue as the what? The vas deferens. Okay. Now both the ejaculatory duct empty into a single urethra. Is that okay? The ejaculatory duct and they both empty into the urethra. So we said that the ejaculatory duct opens into the prostatic part of the urethra. All right. So now we have the spermatogenetic cells. Now the spermatogenetic cells are the cells that produce sperm or that help in the production of cells. Is that okay? Now, and these cells are present in the seminiferous tubules. So these seminiferous tubules that you see here, they contain what? They contain the what? The spermatogenetic cells. Spermatogenetic. Let's go to the second slide so you can see that well. Okay, so we said the spermatogenetic cells are found where? In the seminiferous tubules. Is that okay? And they are precursor cells of spermatozoa, and they lie in between the Sertoli cells. Is that okay? They lie in between the Sertoli cells. So I said there are two cells basically. So if you see in your JAM question that what two cells are concerned with the formation of sperm, we have the Leydig and what? The Sertoli. Leydig and the Sertoli. They are concerned with the formation of cells. With Leydig more concerned with the production of hormones. Leydig is more concerned with the production of hormones. All right. So now the stages of spermatogenetic cells. We have the spermatogonium, the primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, and spermatid. It's very simple. SPSS. Spermatogonium, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, and the spermatid. Now the pathway of the sperm. When the sperm is produced, how does it move out of the body, out of the testis rather? We have the seminiferous tubules rather, the rete testis, the vas deferens. You see it from the seminiferous tubule makes its way to the what? Rete testis. From the rete testis makes its way to the vas efferens first. From the vas efferens to the epididymis, first the head of the epididymis, then the duct of epididymis, then the ejaculatory duct, then the ampulla, which is the top of that duct. Is that okay? The top of the vas deferens is called what? The ampulla. I've mentioned that before. Ampulla. Then the ampulla now leads to the ejaculatory duct, which leads to what? To the urethra, right? The urethra is the one that that leads to the outside of the penis. Now we have the Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells are called supporting cells. Sertoli cells are called what? The supporting cells for the spermatogenic cells. So they are supporting cells, the spermatogenetic cells that are in the seminiferous tubules, right? Now, the functions of the testes, they are majorly what? They are two in function, they are two in number. The function of the testes, there are two in number. We have the gametogenetic function and endocrine function. Spermatogenetic function and endocrine function. Now, in the spermatogenic function, the gametogenic function is basically what? Spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis, the word spermato means what? Sperm. Genesis means beginning, right? So that means what? Production of what? Of sperm. So the testis produce sperm. I've mentioned that like a million times. Alright, so spermatogenesis is the process by which the male gamete called spermatozoa, is that okay, or sperms, are formed from the primitive spermatogenetic cells. We'll call it the spermatogonia. You understand? Those spermatogenetic cells, we can also call them the spermatogonia that are in the testis. Is that okay? So then now throughout the process of spermatogenesis, the spermatogenetic cells have cycloplasmic attachment with Sertoli cells. So there is cytoplasmic attachment between the spermatogenetic cells and the Sertoli cells. And the Sertoli cells supply all the necessary materials for spermatogenesis through cytoplasmic attachment. Right. So then, so that's the spermatogenetic function of the testis. Now we'll not be going over the stages of spermatogenesis. We'll be doing that in another video, but today we are going to go over the all right. So we are going to talk about the second function, which is the hormone production of the testes. Now we have hormones necessary for spermatogenesis. Now we have the first one is the follicle stimulating hormone or the FSH. F. Okay, let's list them here. We have the FSH. That's the first hormone that is very necessary for that guy. And remember, the follicle stimulating hormone is released by what? The anterior pituitary. So the pituitary gland has two lobes. We have the first one, the anterior in front, and at the back, the posterior. So the anterior pituitary gland produces about 5 to 6 hormones, one of which is this follicle stimulating hormone. But recall also that there's going to be a stimulation via blood the connection between the hypothalamus and this anterior pituitary gland is just by blood vessels. Is that okay? So via secretions, hormonal secretion also, the hypothalamus, which this guy is underneath the pituitary, will receive message from this hypothalamus, which is the chief of homeostasis. So what does it do? This guy will now secrete an hormone called the gonadotropin releasing hormone. Is that okay? FSH is one of the hormones that is called the gonadotropins. Whenever I hear the word tropin means it's going to go somewhere else to go and act. Tropin means to go somewhere else to do what? To act. So gonadotropin means to go somewhere else to go and act. So which and where will it go to? It will go to the testes. So the testes will now be stimulated by the gonadotropin to release follicles. Is that okay? So we call it to release its own hormones, and that hormone is called what? The hormone that so this follicle stimulating hormone comes from where? The anterior pituitary. Do you understand? So and what it does is it come and alerts set the testis. Right. Now the stages of growth of spermatogenesis, the hormones that act are the growth hormone and the testosterone. Now the testosterone is very, very important. The testosterone is the analogous of progesterone in females. Progesterone in females. All right. So, on the stage of maturation, so the major three hormones that are produced by that are involved in spermatogenesis in the production of sperm are the follicle stimulating hormone, the testosterone, then the estrogen. Okay, so estrogen. Now, So we have the the roles of the hormones in spermatogenesis. So we have the follicle stimulating hormones, the testosterone, estrogen. There's also the luteinizing hormone, the growth hormone, the inhibin, and the activin. So activin, just like you see, inhibin and activin are just opposites of each other. Inhibin stops the production of FSH by the anterior pituitary gland, while activin stimulates the production of FSH. That is, it tells the the pituitary that what FSH is needed to be secreted. Right. Now let's talk about the roles and function of these hormones in spermatogenesis. Now it is the follicle stimulating hormone that initiates spermatogenesis. Is that okay? And they also stimulate the formation of estrogen and androgen binding proteins from cellular cells. So the basic thing you have to know here is the fact that what that follicle stimulating hormone is the one that initiates spermatogenesis. Right. And it also simulates the secretion of inhibin. Inhibin is secreted by what? The cellular cells. Inhibin is secreted by the cellular cells. Then we have the testosterone. Testosterone is responsible for the sequence of remaining stages of spermatogenesis. It is necessary for the maintenance of what? Spermatogenesis. So it is actively involved throughout the process of sperm formation. Actively involved. The next one is the estrogen. The estrogen is formed from testosterone in cellular cells. Androgen are formed by what? They are formed by the testosterone. The androgen are formed by the testosterone. The estrogen are formed. The estrogen are formed by what? The testosterone. They are formed by the testosterone. Okay, and the testosterone are in the cellular cells, right? So we have the luteinizing hormone. The luteinizing hormone is also called interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Interstitial cell stimulating hormone. And it is essential for secretion of testosterone from Leydig cells. And we have the growth hormone. The growth hormone is essential for general metabolic processes in testes. So we have the growth hormone, which helps in the maturation of the um, testes. Is that okay? Then also necessary for the proliferation of the spermatogonia. Is that okay? Spermatogonia is just sperm. Spermato means sperm, refers to sperm, right? Now, whenever you hear oogonia or gonial means enclosure or like a cup or an enclosure that houses something. So this one will be what? Enclosure that houses what? Sperm. Is that okay? It houses sperm. Now, in pituitary dwarfs, the spermatogenesis is heavily what? Affected. Is heavily affected. Then the inhibin is the peptide the one that serves as transforming growth factor. And it is also secreted by the cellular cells. While in the female, it is secreted by the granulosa cells of ovarian follicles. Basically, the corpus luteum. Is that okay? Alright, and what they do is send message to this hormone, this inhibin sends message to the pituitary that the production of FSH and LH, luteinizing hormone, should be stopped. Is that okay? So now that will be it for this video on um, male reproductive system. Do well to subscribe to the channel, please, and look out for the next video I'm going to be releasing. Will be questions on this topic. God bless you as you um, you know check back the channel and see those questions in the name of Jesus. Amen.